You people never learn how to do anything right, store manager Keith Bridges snarls before his palm strikes Diana's face, the slap echoing through the suddenly silent Metromax superstore. Diana Washington, dressed in the standard blue employee vest, kneels beside scattered merchandise in the houseware section, her cheek stinging from the slap. Weekend shoppers freeze mid-aisle, smartphones already raising to capture what just happened. Keith towers over her, his manager badge gleaming under the fluorescent lights, contempt etched across his face as Diana slowly rises to her full height, dignity intact despite the assault. Her hand touches her reddening cheek, eyes locked with his. What would you do if your boss physically assaulted you at work? Would you stay quiet or fight back? Watch what happens when this racist manager picks the wrong target for his abuse. Little does Keith know, Diana isn't just any employee, and this isn't even her real job. What would you do if your boss physically assaulted you at work? Would you stay quiet or fight back? Watch what happens when this racist manager picks the wrong target for his abuse. 3 days earlier at Metromax Retail Group's headquarters, Diana Washington sits at the head of the boardroom table. Her tailored suit and confident posture reflect her position as Senior Vice President of Operations. Before her lies a disturbing report, the third this quarter from store number 347. The numbers don't lie, Diana states, sliding the folder toward the CEO. Minority employees at this location face twice the disciplinary actions, half the advancement opportunities, and 3 times the turnover rate compared to our other stores. The CEO frowns. HR has investigated twice already, nothing conclusive. Because they announce their visits weeks in advance, Diana counters. I'm proposing something different. I want to work there, undercover. After heated debate, approval comes with reluctance. The legal team provides disclaimers and warnings about the risks. Diana dismisses their concerns with a wave. I've faced discrimination my entire career. It's time someone experiences it firsthand who can actually change things. That evening in her penthouse apartment, Diana studies herself in the mirror. She removes her diamond earrings, replaces her designer blouse with a simple t-shirt, and pulls her hair back. The transformation is subtle but effective, from executive to retail worker. Memories flood back of her early days in retail, the daily microaggressions, the passed-over promotions despite stellar performance. Not anymore, she whispers to her reflection. Not on my watch. The following morning, Diana arrives at store number 347 alongside 5 other new hires. Manager Keith Bridges conducts orientation with practiced efficiency until he reaches Diana and the 2 other minority applicants. You 3 will be in housewares and stockroom, he announces without looking up from his clipboard. The rest, customer service and electronics. Diana raises her hand. My application specified customer service experience. Keith's smile doesn't reach his eyes. We place people where we need them most. Any other questions? His tone makes clear there shouldn't be. Throughout the day, Diana observes. White employees getting longer breaks, easier assignments, more training opportunities. She documents everything on her phone during bathroom breaks, building a case not of isolated incidents but of systematic discrimination. As Diana stocks shelves after hours, she overhears Keith on the phone. Don't worry, I'll make sure she doesn't last the week. Morning light filters through the store windows as Diana meticulously arranges housewares displays, arriving 30 minutes before her shift. Her section gleams with perfect product alignment and immaculate facing. She steps back to check her work, just as Keith rounds the corner for his morning inspection. Morning, Diana offers with professional courtesy. Keith barely acknowledges her greeting, clipboard in hand. He scrutinizes her displays, running his finger along a shelf edge, seeking dust. Finding none, his frown deepens. These items are spaced incorrectly, he states, despite the millimeter precision of her work. Fix it before opening. In the adjacent aisle, he stops at a hastily arranged display by a white employee named Brad. Products sit askew, price tags missing. Good work, Brad, Keith calls out. This is how it's done, people. Diana approaches calmly. I noticed the spacing in my section matches corporate planogram requirements exactly. Could you clarify which standard you'd prefer I follow? The polite challenge catches Keith off guard. His jaw tightens. Are you questioning my management decisions? Not at all. Just seeking clarity to improve my performance. Keith's face flushes as he stalks away, muttering about attitude problems. During lunch break, Diana sits with a diverse group of employees in the break room. They speak in hushed tones. You're making waves already, Marcus says, a Latino employee who's worked there for 3 years. Be careful. Is it always like this? Diana asks. Heads nod around the table. Marcus slides his phone toward her discreetly. Document everything. Date, time, incident. Corporate has a form for discrimination complaints. Diana recognizes the form. She helped implement it 2 years ago. Does anyone ever file these? They disappear, whispers Jennifer, a white cashier. Or worse, the reporter gets written up for performance issues the next week. Their conversation halts abruptly as Keith enters. Break's over, people. Washington, your section needs immediate attention. Diana's barely touched her lunch. She notices white employees continuing to eat undisturbed. Back in housewares, Keith follows uncomfortably close behind Diana. Where did you work before this? Retail management. Diana answers truthfully but vaguely. Doesn't show in your work, Keith responds. I'll be watching you closely. A customer approaches asking Diana about an expensive knife set. Before she can respond, Keith steps between them. Brad can help you with that, he directs the customer. Washington, stick to restocking the lower shelves. Later, the customer returns, finding Diana alone. Sorry about earlier, she says quietly. You clearly know your products. That other guy seemed... well, I didn't like how he treated you. From across the floor, Keith watches the interaction, his expression darkening. Diana receives a text from corporate. Emergency board meeting called for Friday. Someone's making accusations about our investigation. Morning staff meetings at store number 347 occur in the stockroom before opening. Employees stand in a semicircle around Keith, who paces before them like a drill sergeant. Today, he clutches the previous day's metrics report with unusual enthusiasm. Yesterday's numbers, Keith announces, show some concerning patterns. He addresses each white employee by name, praising even mediocre performances. Brad, excellent customer engagement. Melissa, perfect register accuracy. Then his tone shifts. Martinez, your restocking pace is still below target. Wong, 3 customer complaints about wait times. Each criticism delivered without offering solutions or support. When Keith reaches Diana, he pauses dramatically. Washington, taking notes, I see. Diana holds her small notepad. Just documenting your feedback to improve my performance. Is that so? Keith snatches the notepad, flipping through it. Finding nothing incriminating, his disappointment is visible. Since you're so eager to learn, he announces loudly, today you'll receive special training in store maintenance procedures. Minutes later, Diana finds herself on her knees scrubbing toilets in the customer restroom. Through the door, she hears snickering as Keith explains to a passing employee, some people need to learn their place in the hierarchy. Diana maintains her composure, methodically cleaning while documenting this assignment in her phone. She notices the bathroom cleaning rotation chart shows a clear pattern. Minority employees assigned this task 3 times more frequently than white staff. In the employee restroom, Diana discovers racial slurs scratched into the stall door. She photographs the vandalism, noting date and location in her evidence log. Jennifer enters, eyes widening upon seeing Diana cleaning. He's got you on bathroom duty already. That's usually reserved for when he really wants someone gone. She lowers her voice. This happens every time someone files a complaint. They get the worst assignments until they quit. How many complaints have been filed against Keith? Diana asks. Dozens. They vanish. Corporate sends people occasionally, but Keith always knows they're coming. He becomes a different person, professional, courteous, inclusive. The second they leave, it's worse than before. Their conversation ends abruptly as the stockroom door opens. The regional manager, a well-dressed man in his 50s, walks through with Keith. And this is our housewares department, Keith gestures grandly. One of our strongest sections thanks to my personal oversight. Diana watches as Keith transforms, his voice softer, his smile practiced, his language inclusive. He spots Diana and waves her over enthusiastically. This is Diane Washington, one of our newest team members. I've been personally mentoring her. Keith places a hand on Diana's shoulder, squeezing slightly too hard. She's coming along nicely. The regional manager nods politely before continuing the tour. The moment they round the corner, Keith's smile vanishes. Complete reset of aisle 7, he orders Diana. I want every item removed, shelves cleaned, and reset by lunch. That's different from the planogram I set up yesterday according to corporate standards, Diana observes calmly. Keith steps closer, voice lowered. Are you questioning me again? Maybe this job isn't the right fit for you. One more comment like that, and you'll find yourself without employment. Understood? Around them, employees pretend not to listen, eyes averted. Diana notices one discreetly recording the interaction on their phone. Back in her apartment that night, Diana receives a notification that her hidden identity was searched in the corporate database. Someone's getting suspicious. Diana's apartment transforms into a war room each night after her shift. Tonight, she spreads her evidence across the dining table, photographs of discriminatory assignments, recordings of Keith's different treatment of employees, screenshots of the skewed scheduling patterns. Her phone chimes with the notification about the database search, sending a jolt of concern through her. She secures her laptop with an encrypted connection before calling her executive assistant. Angela, someone accessed my personnel file through the HR database. Can you find out who? On it, Angela responds. How's the undercover operation going? Worse than we expected, Diana says, organizing evidence into digital folders. I need everything we have on Keith Bridges. Full employment history, performance reviews, complaint records, especially those that didn't result in action. As Angela works, Diana stares at her reflection in the darkened window. 20 years earlier, a younger Diana stands before a similar window, tears streaming down her face after being passed over for promotion a third time despite outselling every other associate. You're just not management material, her boss had said while promoting a less qualified white colleague. Never again, she whispers to her reflection, the same vow she made decades ago. Her phone rings, pulling her from the memory. I've got it, Angela says. Keith Bridges has worked for Metro Max for 12 years across 5 different stores. Each transfer followed multiple HR complaints that were either downgraded or dismissed. And guess who signed off on most of the dismissals? Michael Pearson, Senior HR Director. Diana's eyes narrow. Pearson? Check their connection. Already did. Fraternity brothers from State University. There's more. Keith's been promoted after each transfer. Started as assistant manager, now runs one of our highest volume stores despite mediocre performance metrics. And the database search? Originated from Pearson's account 30 minutes after store closing. He accessed your full employment and background records. Diana takes a deep breath. They're getting suspicious. I need to accelerate the timeline. She makes another call, this time to the company's general counsel. Elizabeth, we may have a problem, Diana explains the situation. Be careful, the lawyer warns. If they're checking your identity, they might be preparing to discredit you. We need irrefutable evidence before making any moves. And Diana, watch your back. People who abuse power rarely surrender it willingly. Across town, Keith sits in his dimly lit home office, scrolling through personnel files. He stops at Diana's application, scrutinizing her photo. Something's not right about her, he mutters, picking up his phone. Mike, it's Keith. That new hire I mentioned, Washington, I need you to dig deeper into her background. Careful, Keith, his friend warns. If she's just an employee, accessing her records could cause problems. She's not just an employee, Keith insists. She asks too many questions, knows too much about corporate policies. Something's off. Fine, I'll see what I can find. But Keith, don't do anything stupid. If you're being paranoid about a simple new hire, maybe it's time to ease up a bit. Keith hangs up, unconvinced. He returns to Diana's file, studying her face. I know you're up to something, he whispers, and I'll find out what. In her apartment, Diana prepares for the next day, selecting clothing with hidden pockets for her recording device. She rehearses responses to potential confrontations, determined to maintain her cover while gathering conclusive evidence. Tomorrow, she decides, she'll push a little harder. As Diana finalizes her preparations, she receives an anonymous text. I know who you really are. We need to talk. Morning light hasn't yet reached the store windows when Diana arrives for her shift. The parking lot remains mostly empty, but Keith's silver sedan occupies its reserved space. Something about today feels different, a tension in the air like the stillness before a storm. Keith waits by the time clock, manila folder in hand, expression grim. Washington, my office, now. The small manager's office smells of coffee and aftershave. Keith closes the door and tosses the folder onto the desk. Inside are printouts of performance metrics with several sections highlighted in angry yellow. Care to explain these numbers? Keith demands. Diana studies the pages calmly. The metrics are clearly manipulated. Stocking rates altered, customer interaction counts diminished, break times exaggerated. Her actual performance, she knows, exceeds most veteran employees. These don't reflect my actual work, she states simply. Are you calling me a liar? Keith's voice rises slightly. I'm saying these metrics don't match my output. I've been timing my tasks and documenting my productivity. Keith's face flushes. I'm placing you on final warning status. One more infraction, you're terminated. The door opens without a knock. Jennifer from customer service pokes her head in. Sorry to interrupt, but I need to speak with you about Washington's section. Not now, Keith snaps. It's just that Housewares has never looked better, Jennifer continues, ignoring his dismissal. Customers have been commenting on how organized and accessible everything is. Keith's glare silences her. I'll review your position next, Jennifer, if you can't respect closed-door meetings. Diana catches Jennifer's eye, giving an imperceptible shake of her head. No sense in both of them being targeted. After Jennifer retreats, Keith assigns Diana to inventory in the stockroom, a cavernous space with towering shelves of merchandise. Complete audit of sections G through K alone. I want every item counted, verified, and logged by end of shift. The task would normally require a team of 3 and 2 full days. Diana recognizes the impossible assignment for what it is, a setup for failure. Yet instead of becoming discouraged, Diana attacks the challenge methodically. She creates an efficient counting system, reorganizing as she works. Hours pass in focused silence as she transforms the chaos into order, documenting the before and after state of each section. Keith checks on her progress around midday, barely concealing his disappointment at finding her not only managing, but excelling. He scans the newly organized shelves, searching for flaws. Finding none, he accidentally bumps into a rolling cart, sending dozens of small appliance boxes tumbling to the floor. Unstable arrangement, he notes coldly. Safety violation. Fix it. Diana maintains her professional demeanor. I'll take care of it immediately. Keith pauses at the door. And Washington? Clock out for lunch before you start. I don't pay overtime for incompetence. Diana waits until his footsteps fade before allowing herself a small, satisfied smile. His increasing frustration means she's making an impact. She begins gathering the scattered boxes, methodically reconstructing her work. As Diana reorganizes the fallen merchandise, she discovers shipping manifests showing inventory discrepancies that suggest possible theft or fraud. The shipping manifest sits innocuously between fallen boxes. A simple paper form, yet the numbers tell a story of discrepancies too consistent to be accidents. Diana photographs each page discreetly, noting how certain high-value electronics items show repeated shipping damage claims, always on Keith's shifts, always without documentation. She memorizes the pattern. Items arriving but never making it to the sales floor, listed as damaged or defective with no return authorization. The missing inventory value exceeds $20,000 over 3 months. After carefully replacing the documents exactly as she found them, Diana completes her reorganization just as Keith returns. His expression sours upon seeing her progress. "Not good enough," he declares, despite the obvious improvement. "I'm assigning Tyler to supervise you." He gestures to a young white employee hovering nervously behind him. "He'll ensure you maintain proper standards." Tyler Williams shifts uncomfortably, ID badge indicating he's been employed just 2 weeks. He appears barely out of high school, struggling to make eye contact with either of them. After Keith leaves, Tyler exhales dramatically. "I'm really sorry about this," he whispers. "He told me to report any mistakes you make, but this is ridiculous. Your organization system is better than what we had before." "It's not your fault," Diana reassures him. "How long have you worked here?" 2 weeks, Tyler confirms her observation. "I'm still learning where everything is, and suddenly I'm supposed to supervise you? Several of us are really uncomfortable with how he treats certain employees." "Several?" Tyler nods, glancing toward the door. "There's kind of an unofficial support group. We try to warn new people, cover for each other when he gets on someone's case. It's not right, but nobody knows how to stop it." Diana finishes her inventory task with remarkable efficiency despite the sabotage. The lunch bell rings, and she heads to the break room. She sits with Marcus and several other minority employees, their conversation hushed but animated. Keith enters, immediately checking his watch. "Washington, you've taken 23 minutes. Break time is 20 minutes exactly." He ignores 3 white employees who've been in the break room for over 30 minutes. Diana begins gathering her things, maintaining professional composure. Keith accidentally bumps her arm as she stands, spilling coffee down the front of her shirt. "Clumsy," he remarks loudly. "Go clean yourself up, and be back on the floor in 5 minutes." In the employee restroom, Diana dabs at the brown stain spreading across her blue shirt. The door opens behind her. Rochelle, a black woman in her 40s who works in accounting, checks under each stall before speaking. "Be careful," she whispers. "Keith's been asking questions about you, trying to access your personal information through the system." "Why are you telling me this?" Diana asks. "Because 3 years ago, an employee filed discrimination complaints against him. 2 days later, store merchandise was found in her locker. Merchandise she never touched. Another employee reported his comments about female staff. He was written up for excessive breaks the next week and fired a month later." Rochelle moves toward the door. "Whatever you're doing, watch your back. He knows how to make problems disappear, both complaints and people." As Diana exits the restroom, she sees Keith in an intense conversation with a visitor, the HR director who's been protecting him, who keeps glancing in her direction. Diana recognizes Michael Pearson immediately. As senior HR director, he's attended numerous executive meetings, though they've rarely spoken directly. Now he stands with Keith near the customer service desk, both men turning to watch her emerge from the restroom. Their conversation halts abruptly. Keith's smile appears forced as he approaches. "Washington, my office, now." The small office feels even more cramped with 3 people. Pearson sits in Keith's chair, expression neutral but eyes calculating. Keith remains standing, arms crossed. "Ms. Washington," Pearson begins, "we've noticed some discrepancies in your employment application." Diana maintains a calm exterior, despite the internal warning bells. "What discrepancies?" "Your previous retail experience," Pearson continues. "We can't seem to verify your employment at Value Mart." Diana had anticipated this possibility. Her cover identity included carefully constructed employment history that would withstand typical verification but not deep investigation. "I worked at location num 217 under Margaret Winters," Diana responds with confidence. "The store closed during restructuring last year. I'm surprised your verification process didn't confirm that." Pearson's eyes narrow slightly. "And your education? Community college? Business administration? Part-time while working? My transcripts should be on file with my application." The questioning continues for 20 minutes. Pointed inquiries about her background, experience, and qualifications. Diana provides consistent, rehearsed answers that reveal nothing while remaining technically truthful. Finally, Pearson nods to Keith and stands. "Thank you for your time, Ms. Washington. We'll continue our verification process." After Pearson leaves, Keith's professional facade evaporates. "I have a special assignment for you today. The exterior windows need cleaning." Diana glances outside where light rain falls steadily. "In this weather?" "Problem?" Keith challenges. "Store Safety Protocol Section 5.3 advises against exterior window cleaning during precipitation due to slip hazards," Diana quotes precisely. Keith's eyes widen momentarily at her knowledge of company policy. "Fine. Then you can reset the seasonal display in aisle 12. Outside the office, employees pretend to work while watching the interaction. When Diana reaches aisle 12, she finds a massive display of heavy summer equipment, grills, coolers, and patio furniture, haphazardly arranged. As she begins the physically demanding task alone, Marcus passes by, discreetly sliding safety gloves toward her. "He's making it obvious now," he whispers before continuing down the aisle. A store meeting is called mid-afternoon. Keith praises several white employees for their sales numbers, highlighting their achievements with specific figures. Diana, with access to actual store metrics through her executive position, recognizes that several of these figures are below company targets. When Rochelle suggests a more efficient checkout process that could improve customer satisfaction scores, Keith dismisses the idea immediately. 20 minutes later, he presents an identical suggestion as his own innovation. Later, an elderly customer approaches Diana for help with an expensive food processor. Diana provides detailed information about features and warranty options, answering all questions patiently. The customer thanks her profusely, purchasing not only the processor but several accessories Diana recommended. As the customer leaves, Keith swoops in to take credit. "Glad I was able to train Washington so thoroughly on our premium products," he tells the customer with a practiced smile. The customer looks between them skeptically before departing. The final straw comes near closing time. Keith orders Diana to move a heavy display case without assistance, despite store protocol requiring team lifting for anything over 50 pounds. "Safety regulations require 2 people for this task," Diana states calmly. Keith's patience visibly snaps. "How do you know every damn policy? Who are you really?" Diana receives a text from the CEO. "Board meeting leaked. Accelerate timeline. Get definitive evidence today." The fluorescent lights of store number 347 cast harsh shadows across the housewares department. Diana kneels beside the bottom shelf, meticulously arranging a display of kitchen gadgets according to the planogram. Her movements are deliberate, efficient. Too efficient for Keith's liking. "Washington!" Keith's voice carries across the department, drawing customer attention. "What's taking so long with that display?" Diana continues working, maintaining her focus. "Following the corporate arrangement guidelines, sir. Should be complete in approximately 10 minutes. Keith stalks closer, customers parting before his obvious anger. 10 minutes? It should have been done 30 minutes ago. What's the holdup?" "The previous arrangement was incorrect," Diana explains professionally. "I'm ensuring everything matches corporate standards for customer accessibility." "Corporate standards?" Keith's voice rises further. "I set the standards in this store, not some corporate manual written by people who've never worked a day on the sales floor." Diana stands, facing him directly. Section 4.7 of the Employee Handbook states that all displays must follow current planogram designs to ensure consistent customer experience across all locations. Keith's face flushes dark red. Several customers have stopped to watch the confrontation. Employees freeze in place, eyes wide. "You think you know everything, don't you?" Keith snarls. "You people always think you're smarter than everyone else." Diana maintains her professional demeanor. "I'm simply doing my job according to company policy." Something in Keith snaps. "Company policy?" His arm whips forward, palm connecting with Diana's cheek with a crack that echoes through the suddenly silent store. Diana's head jerks sideways from the impact. A collective gasp rises from witnesses. A customer drops a shopping basket in shock. Time seems to stop as the red imprint of Keith's hand appears on Diana's cheek. Slowly, deliberately, Diana straightens to her full height. Something in her demeanor shifts. The subservient retail worker vanishes, replaced by something altogether different. Her voice, when she speaks, carries a new authority. "Mr. Bridges, did you just physically assault an employee?" Keith, momentarily stunned by his own action, recovers with bluster. "You're insubordinate. You're fired. Get out of my store now." Diana reaches into her pocket, retrieving her corporate ID and business card. She holds it up for him to see. Diana Washington, Senior Vice President of Operations, Metro Max Retail Group. The blood drains from Keith's face. His mouth opens, but no words emerge. "That's right," Diana continues, her voice carrying throughout the now silent store. "For the past 5 days, I've been documenting your discriminatory practices, policy violations, and now physical assault." Behind her, Jennifer and several other employees have their phones out, recording everything. Keith backs up a step, eyes darting between Diana and the exits. "This is some kind of trick," he stammers. "You can't what, Mr. Bridges? Investigate serious allegations of discrimination and harassment? Create a safe working environment for all employees? Those are exactly my responsibilities." The regional manager steps out from behind a display, where he'd been observing the entire confrontation. "The corporate investigation team arrived this morning, Keith. They're currently reviewing all employee files and store records." Keith's expression cycles through shock, anger, and finally, fear. "You set me up!" "No, Mr. Bridges, you did this to yourself." Diana addresses the stunned employees gathered around them. "I apologize for the deception, but after receiving multiple reports of discrimination and harassment at this location, we needed to understand the situation firsthand." She turns back to Keith. "You are suspended pending investigation, effective immediately. Please surrender your store keys and access cards to Regional Manager Patterson." Keith's face contorts with rage. "You can't do this to me. I've run this store for 5 years. The numbers speak for themselves." "Yes, they do," Diana agrees, "including the troubling pattern of minority employees being disciplined at 3 times the rate of white employees, or scheduled for less desirable shifts, or denied promotion opportunities despite superior performance metrics." Security personnel, previously positioned as shoppers, now move to block the exits. One approaches Keith, hand extended for his keys. Diana faces the assembled employees. "To everyone who's faced discrimination here, I want you to know your reports weren't ignored. They triggered this investigation. Change starts today." Keith, escorted toward the office to surrender his credentials, turns back toward Diana. His public mask has fallen completely, revealing the ugliness beneath. "You think you've won? You have no idea who you're dealing with." Diana meets his gaze steadily. "Actually, Mr. Bridges, I know exactly who I'm dealing with. That's why I'm here." As Keith is escorted out, he hisses to Diana, "You have no idea who my friends are, or what they can do to you." The Metro Max executive boardroom buzzes with tense energy. Sunlight streams through floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating the long mahogany table where the company's leadership sits awaiting Diana's presentation. The CEO, Jonathan Reynolds, checks his watch impatiently. 2 days since the incident, and social media is already calling us slapped in store with video clips viewed 15 million times, he remarks grimly. Diana enters, composed and focused, carrying an expandable file folder thick with documents. Behind her, the legal team and several HR representatives take seats along the wall. Before we begin, Diana states, connecting her laptop to the presentation system, I want to emphasize that what happened at store number 347 isn't isolated. It represents systemic failures in how we handle discrimination complaints and manage accountability. The boardroom screen illuminates with a statistical analysis. Bar graphs showing disparate treatment of employees based on race across multiple metrics, disciplinary actions, promotion rates, scheduling preferences, and assignment of desirable versus undesirable tasks. What you're seeing, Diana continues, is data from store number 347 under Keith Bridges' management. Now compare it to our company averages. She clicks to the next slide. The disparity is unmistakable. Over the past 5 days, I personally experienced and documented numerous policy violations. Diana plays selected audio recordings, Keith's discriminatory comments, inconsistent application of rules, retaliatory assignments. Michael Pearson, the senior HR director who had protected Keith, shifts uncomfortably in his seat as Diana reveals the pattern of transferred complaints, all routing through his office, all mysteriously downgraded or dismissed. Mr. Pearson, Diana addresses him directly, would you care to explain why 17 separate discrimination complaints against Keith Bridges were classified as unsubstantiated, despite multiple witnesses and documentation in each case? Pearson clears his throat. Standard investigative procedures were not followed, Diana interrupts, displaying internal communication records. In fact, you warned Keith about upcoming investigations, giving him time to temporarily adjust his behavior and prepare employees with scripted responses. The CEO's expression darkens. Is this true, Michael? Pearson stares at the table, offering no defense. Diana outlines her proposed changes, a complete restructuring of the HR reporting system with anonymous channels that bypass direct management, an independent review board for discrimination claims, mandatory bias training for all leadership, and revised promotion criteria emphasizing demonstrated inclusivity. The cost of implementation? A board member asks. Approximately $2 million company-wide, Diana responds without hesitation. The cost of not implementing these changes? The $18 million we paid in settlements last year, plus the incalculable cost of lost talent, reduced productivity, and damaged reputation. While the executive meeting continues at headquarters, Keith meets with Michael Pearson at a coffee shop across town. Keith's usual confidence has evaporated, replaced by nervous energy. You need to fix this, Keith demands, voice low but intense. Call in favors, bury the investigation. You've done it before. Pearson shakes his head. It's different this time. Washington has concrete evidence, recordings, documents, and she's got the board's ear. You're just going to abandon me after everything I've done for you? Keith leans forward. Remember those inventory discrepancies I helped hide during your tenure as regional manager? I wonder how the board would feel about that. Pearson's expression hardens. Careful, Keith. You're in no position to make threats. You assaulted an executive on camera. You crossed a line I can't protect you from. Back at corporate headquarters, Diana meets with employees from store number 347 in a conference room. The atmosphere is solemn but hopeful. First, I want to apologize, Diana begins. Your complaints should have been addressed immediately, not after years of mistreatment. That failure rests with leadership, including myself. Rochelle speaks up. What happens now? Keith has friends in corporate. We've seen this movie before. He gets transferred, maybe a slap on the wrist, and we face retaliation. Not this time, Diana assures them. The investigation extends beyond Keith to everyone who enabled him. And I promise you there will be no retaliation. Anyone experiencing backlash reports directly to me. Marcus asks the question on everyone's mind. Will he face real consequences? Or just get paid to go away? That brings me to my next meeting, Diana responds. Keith has retained legal counsel and is threatening a defamation lawsuit. Jennifer gasps. After what he did? On camera? Diana's smile is slight but confident. Our legal team is preparing a comprehensive response, including potential counterclaims for hostile work environment, assault, and discrimination. Trust me, accountability is coming. In the legal department, Diana reviews strategy with Elizabeth Chen, General Counsel. Documents cover the conference table, employee statements, video evidence, performance records. His attorney is claiming entrapment, Elizabeth explains, arguing that you created a situation designed to provoke him. We both know that's absurd, Diana responds. I performed standard job duties according to company policy. His reaction revealed his true character and management style. Elizabeth nods. Exactly our position. His history of similar behavior across multiple stores demolishes any claim that this was an isolated incident or provoked response. What about the employees who enabled this? Diana asks. HR Director Pearson has been placed on administrative leave pending investigation, Elizabeth confirms. Internal audit is reviewing all complaint dismissals he handled. That evening, Keith sits in a bar with several fellow store managers, nursing a drink while checking his phone obsessively. It's a witch hunt, he complains. Washington has an agenda. If they can do this to me, you're all vulnerable. The other managers exchange uncomfortable glances. One checks her watch and makes excuses to leave. Soon, Keith sits alone, abandoned by colleagues who once laughed at his jokes and ignored his behavior. The emergency board meeting convenes the following morning. Diana presents her comprehensive plan, addressing not just store number 347, but company-wide policies. The discussion is heated, with concerns raised about implementation costs, potential legal exposure, and public relations implications. The videos are already public, Diana reminds them. Our choice isn't whether to address this issue, it's whether we're seen as part of the problem or leaders in creating the solution. After hours of debate, the board votes unanimously to approve Diana's plan, allocating necessary resources for immediate implementation. As Diana leaves the boardroom, her phone chimes with an email notification. The sender is anonymous, the subject line blank. She opens it to find personal information about her family, her home address, her parents' names and location, even her children's school schedules. The message contains just 3 words: back off now. Diana forwards the email to security without hesitation, then calls her family to ensure their safety. The intimidation attempt only strengthens her resolve to complete what she's started. As Diana leaves the board meeting, she receives an anonymous email containing personal information about her family, a clear intimidation attempt. The corporate hearing room projects authority through every detail: rich wood paneling, imposing conference table, the Metromax logo prominently displayed. Security personnel discreetly monitor the proceedings from corners of the room. Today marks Keith Bridges' formal termination hearing, 1 week after the incident that made national headlines. Keith arrives in a crisp suit, flanked by his attorney, an aggressive litigator known for corporate employment cases. His shoulders square with manufactured confidence as he takes his seat, nodding to former colleagues who avoid his gaze. Diana enters last, leading a panel of executives and HR specialists. Her professional demeanor betrays no hint of the satisfaction she feels seeing Keith's facade crack slightly at the sight of the witnesses assembled along the wall. Employees not just from store number 347, but from his previous locations as well. This hearing will determine whether Keith Bridges' employment with Metromax Retail Group is terminated for cause, Diana begins, her voice steady and authoritative. Mr. Bridges, you have the right to respond to all evidence presented and to present evidence of your own. Keith's attorney leans forward. Before we proceed, I'd like to note our objection to Ms. Washington's participation given her role in orchestrating the events in question. Objection noted, Diana responds coolly. However, as SVP of Operations, my presence is required by company policy. She turns to her assistant. Let's begin with the documented evidence. What follows is a methodical dismantling of Keith's career. Video recordings play on the boardroom screen. His discriminatory comments, inconsistent enforcement of policies, and finally, the physical assault captured from multiple angles. Statistical analysis demonstrates racial disparities in scheduling, task assignment, disciplinary actions, and promotions across all 5 stores where Keith held management positions. Financial records reveal inventory discrepancies coinciding with Keith's management shifts, expensive items marked as damaged without proper documentation, a pattern suggesting potential theft or fraud totaling over $120,000 across 3 years. Keith's expression darkens as the evidence mounts. His attorney scribbles notes frantically, occasionally whispering in his client's ear. When Keith's unauthorized access to confidential personnel files appears on screen, his attorney visibly winces. Mr. Bridges accessed personnel records of 16 employees without business justification, Diana explains, including attempting to access my own confidential executive file. Employee after employee testifies to specific incidents of discrimination and harassment. Marcus describes watching Keith assign minority employees to clean bathrooms 3 times more frequently than white staff. Jennifer details how Keith took credit for a successful merchandising strategy she developed. Rochelle recounts Keith's dismissal of her theft prevention proposal, only to present it as his own idea weeks later. Keith's defense grows increasingly desperate. These employees are disgruntled about normal management decisions, he argues. Ms. Washington created a hostile environment by encouraging complaints. Is that your explanation for physically assaulting me? Diana asks calmly. You provoked me. You were insubordinate, challenging my authority in front of customers. Diana plays the recording again. Keith's words echo through the silent room. You people always think you're smarter than everyone else, followed by the unmistakable sound of the slap. For clarity, Diana says, by you people, you were referring to... Keith's attorney jumps in. My client was referring to new employees who question established procedures. Diana displays Keith's text messages to Michael Pearson, recovered during the investigation. Need to get rid of Washington. Too many of them in the store already. Customers notice. Keith's face pales as he realizes the extent of evidence against him. He glances around for Michael Pearson, his longtime protector, but the HR director's chair sits conspicuously empty. Where's Mike? Keith demands. He needs to be here. Mr. Pearson resigned this morning, Diana informs him. Internal investigation found evidence of collusion in suppressing employee complaints. He chose resignation over termination proceedings. Keith's final defense, that he maintained high performance standards and strict discipline to achieve store metrics, collapses when Diana presents performance data showing minority employees actually outperformed others despite receiving fewer resources and opportunities. Store number 347 succeeded despite your management, not because of it, Diana concludes. Employees performed admirably under adverse conditions that you created and maintained. The panel deliberates for less than 30 minutes before delivering their unanimous decision. Immediate termination for cause, forfeiture of all severance benefits, and referral to local authorities for potential assault charges. As security escorts Keith from the building, the magnitude of his downfall finally registers. His professional reputation is destroyed, his network of protectors disbanded, his future in retail management effectively over. In the lobby, Keith stops short at the sight of news vans parked outside the main entrance. Reporters stand ready with cameras and microphones. You leaked this to the press? He accuses Diana, who observes from the security desk. We didn't have to, she responds. Your actions made this news. Your legacy is now entirely of your own making. As Keith exits the building, he's met by news reporters who somehow learned about the case. The company's efforts are now thrust into the public spotlight. 3 months after the incident that became known in retail circles as the slap heard round the industry, Diana stands before 200 store managers in Metromax's central training facility. Behind her, a presentation slide displays the company's transformed harassment reporting system, a direct line to an independent review board that bypasses traditional management channels. This isn't about checking boxes or avoiding lawsuits, Diana emphasizes, surveying the attentive faces. It's about creating workplaces where talent thrives regardless of background, where accountability exists at every level, where we become industry leaders not just in sales, but in equity. But the training session represents just one component of Metromax's comprehensive anti-discrimination initiative. Throughout company locations nationwide, employees receive enhanced bias awareness training. Anonymous reporting kiosks appear in break rooms, allowing concerns to be raised without fear of retaliation. Diverse hiring committees now oversee all promotion decisions, eliminating single manager control over career advancement. Local news captures footage of the transformed store number 347, now under the management of Rochelle Williams, the accountant who warned Diana during her undercover assignment. Customer satisfaction scores have risen 15% in 3 months. Employee retention rates have doubled. Sales figures exceed projections by 12%. The atmosphere is completely different, Jennifer tells a reporter during a segment on the store's transformation. People actually want to come to work now. We're serving our community better because our workplace reflects and respects that community. In a wood-paneled legislative chamber, Diana testifies before a state commerce committee considering stronger workplace protections against discrimination and retaliation. What I witnessed wasn't just unethical, it damaged our business, Diana explains to the attentive legislators. Discriminatory practices cost our company millions in lost talent, reduced productivity, and litigation expenses. The financial case for equitable workplaces is as compelling as the moral one. She presents data from Metromax's post-reform performance: decreased turnover, increased productivity, improved customer satisfaction, making the business case for legislation that many had dismissed as merely idealistic. The committee chair leans forward. Ms. Washington, what would you say to business owners who claim these protections create excessive regulatory burden? I'd say that fair treatment isn't a burden. It's a competitive advantage, Diana responds. Companies with diverse, equitable workplaces outperform their competitors. The real burden is the cost of discrimination, which simply isn't sustainable in today's market. At a prestigious business school across the state, Professor Elaine Chen presents the Metromax case study to graduate students. Charts compare the company's performance before and after implementing structural reforms. Notice this isn't just about avoiding PR disasters, Professor Chen points out. The metrics show improved operational efficiency, enhanced market position, and stronger financial performance after addressing systemic discrimination. This case demonstrates that inclusion isn't just ethically sound, it's strategically essential. Meanwhile, Michael Pearson, the HR director who protected Keith, sits across from a potential employer, his 6th interview in 3 months. The hiring manager reviews his resume with a furrowed brow. There's a gap here, she notes. You left Metromax rather suddenly? Pearson shifts uncomfortably. Organizational restructuring, he offers vaguely. The manager taps her tablet. I see. And your references from Metromax? I'd prefer you contact previous employers, Pearson hedges. The interview ends shortly thereafter. Another rejection inevitable. Companies across the industry have implemented enhanced ethics requirements for leadership positions, with particular emphasis on harassment and discrimination prevention. Pearson's reputation follows him like a shadow. In a small convenience store across town, Keith Bridges arranges snack displays with mechanical efficiency. His name tag identifies him as sales associate, a dramatic demotion from his former position. The physical labor offers plenty of time to nurture his resentment. It's all politics, he mutters to a disinterested coworker. They needed a scapegoat for their diversity agenda. His phone buzzes with a news notification. Metromax reports record quarterly earnings following workplace culture reforms. Keith quickly silences the device, jaw tightening as he returns to stacking candy bars with unnecessary force. Diana receives an invitation to lead a national retail industry task force on workplace equity. Her experience has positioned her as a respected authority on meaningful reform. Sunlight streams through the windows of Diana's corner office at Metromax headquarters. 1 year has passed since her undercover assignment revealed the discriminatory practices at store number 347. On her desk sits a leather-bound binder containing the company's annual Diversity and Inclusion Report, a document that now rivals their financial statements in importance to shareholders. Diana reviews the transformed metrics with quiet satisfaction. Employee retention of minority staff has increased by 47%. Customer satisfaction scores show double-digit improvement across all demographics. Overall profitability has risen by 11%, outpacing industry averages by a significant margin. More meaningful than these numbers are the faces that appear in her office doorway. Former employees from store number 347, now visiting headquarters for a leadership development program Diana established. Marcus, now a department manager, enters first, followed by Jennifer and 3 others who experienced Keith's discrimination firsthand. "Welcome to the corporate side," Diana greets them warmly. "How does it feel to be here as potential future executives?" "Surreal," Marcus admits, taking in the expansive office. 3 years of applying for management training without a single interview. Now I'm being fast-tracked. The difference is night and day. "Not just for us," Jennifer adds. "The whole store culture has transformed. Customers comment on it all the time. How helpful everyone is, how diverse our staff is at all levels. They feel welcome regardless of who they are." Diana gestures for them to sit in the comfortable seating area overlooking the city. That's what happens when people are valued for their contributions rather than judged by their appearance. "It's not just talk either," Marcus continues. "The anonymous reporting system actually works. Last month, an assistant manager made some questionable comments about a Latina employee. She reported it, and within 2 days, he was in mandatory training. No retaliation, no sweeping it under the rug." Diana nods. Systems matter as much as intentions. We had good people trying to address discrimination before, but the structures enabled abuse rather than preventing it. Later that afternoon, Diana addresses new company managers during their orientation. Unlike the stiff corporate presentations of the past, she speaks candidly about her own experiences climbing the corporate ladder as a woman of color. "I encountered my share of Keith Bridgeses along the way," she acknowledges. "The difference is that now we have systems that hold the Keith Bridgeses accountable rather than enabling them." She emphasizes that diversity and inclusion aren't just ethical imperatives, but business advantages that improve decision-making, innovation, and customer connections. "Our shoppers come from every background imaginable. How can we serve them effectively if our teams and leadership don't reflect that diversity?" Across town, Keith Bridges stocks shelves at a small independent store, his new reality a far cry from his former status. On the break room television, a business news program features Diana receiving an industry leadership award for Metromax's transformed workplace culture. "Metromax has become the gold standard for inclusive retail environments," the announcer states. "Their reformed policies have been adopted by 7 major retail chains following their demonstrated success." Keith watches silently, something shifting in his expression. For perhaps the first time, a flicker of recognition crosses his face, understanding that his downfall resulted not from a conspiracy against him, but from his own actions maintained over years. The moment passes quickly, but leaves a trace of uncertainty where righteous indignation once dominated. In her office that evening, Diana reviews applications for the newly established Metromax Future Leaders Scholarship, a program providing retail employees educational support for management degrees. The applicant pool reflects the diversity of their workforce and customer base, creating pathways for advancement for those historically excluded from leadership opportunities. Diana pauses at her window, watching the sunset paint the city skyline in warm hues. The transformation she's witnessed and led this past year extends beyond a single store or company. It represents the possibility of meaningful change in an industry that employs millions across every demographic. Her assistant delivers the final document requiring her signature today, the charter for the National Retail Industry Task Force on Workplace Equity that Diana will chair. With this, the reforms pioneered at Metromax will have the opportunity to reshape workplaces throughout the country. Diana signs the document with quiet determination, the same determination that led her to work undercover at store number 347 1 year ago. True power isn't in controlling others. It's in creating systems where everyone can succeed. Don't miss out on more powerful stories of justice and accountability. Subscribe to PAP Stories right now and hit the like button if you enjoyed watching someone finally get the comeuppance they deserved. Tap the notification bell to be the first to know when we upload new stories of workplace justice and unexpected twists of fate.